Most people go through life chasing titles, achievements, or other people's expectations, believing that somewhere along the way, purpose will just show up. But the truth is, purpose doesn't arrive like a package at your doorstep. It's not something that gets handed to you with your diploma or job offer. Purpose is discovered, not assigned. From a young age, we're asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so we choose labels: doctor, engineer, entrepreneur, artist, because we're taught that our identity is tied to what we do. But that question was never really about purpose. It was about occupation. And purpose runs deeper. It's not just what you do, it's why you do it. And that's something only you can uncover through reflection, experiences, and paying attention to the things that make you feel most alive. Purpose begins to reveal itself in the moments that move us. The times when we feel fully present, energized, and connected to something bigger than ourselves. It can be as simple as helping someone without expecting anything in return, or speaking up for someone who doesn't have a voice. These moments aren't always grand or dramatic, but they hold clues. Purpose often hides in the quiet corners of our lives, in what we gravitate toward when no one is watching, in the work we're willing to do even when it's hard, even when no one is applauding. It's easy to believe that someone else can tell us our purpose. That if we follow the blueprint laid out by society or our families, we'll eventually feel fulfilled. But that's rarely the case. Living someone else's purpose feels like wearing shoes that don't fit. No matter how nice they look, they'll start to hurt after a while. And yet many people stay in that discomfort because it feels safer than asking the real questions. What matters to me? What am I here for? What impact do I want to leave behind? Discovering purpose is a process, not a destination. It's not a single moment of epiphany, but a series of small decisions and realizations that add up over time. You may find it through success, but more often, you find it through struggle. It's in the setbacks, the failures, and the detours that we often start to ask the deeper questions. And that's where discovery begins. We live in a world that praises productivity, performance, and profit. But purpose isn't always productive in the traditional sense. It's not always efficient or measurable. Sometimes following your purpose might look like stepping away from something that's working on the outside because it's empty on the inside. And that takes courage, because discovery means letting go of certainty. It means walking into the unknown and trusting that something meaningful will meet you there. People often look for purpose in extraordinary moments, but the truth is, it's often found in the ordinary. A teacher who stays late to make sure her students understand. A father who wakes up early every morning just to be present at breakfast. A friend who listens without trying to fix. These acts might seem small, but when they're driven by something real inside of us, love, compassion, a sense of justice, they become powerful. Purpose is not about the size of the action, it's about the depth of the intention. And it's not static. Your purpose might shift as you grow, as you experience more of life, as you evolve. That doesn't mean you're lost, it means you're learning. Think of purpose like a compass, not a map. It won't give you turn-by-turn directions, but it will point you in the right direction, even when the path ahead isn't clear. The most fulfilling lives aren't lived by those who had all the answers, but by those who stayed curious about the questions. Purpose is discovered by people willing to search, who are open to making mistakes, to exploring what feels meaningful, to listening to the quiet voice inside that says, "This matters." That discovery doesn't come from being told what to do. It comes from doing the inner work, from trying, from failing, from asking again and again, "Is this it?" And being brave enough to keep going until something inside you finally says yes. Clarity of purpose fuels resilience. When you know why you're doing something, you can endure almost anything that stands in your way. Purpose becomes your inner compass, your source of strength when the road gets hard, and your reason to keep going when everything in you wants to give up. Without clarity, challenges feel like walls. With clarity, they become stepping stones. In life, hardship is inevitable. There will be setbacks, disappointments, losses, and moments where everything seems to fall apart. What separates those who stay down from those who rise again isn't just talent or luck. It's the strength that comes from knowing why you're in the fight to begin with. When you have a clear purpose, you don't crumble under pressure. You bend, you adapt, you grow. Purpose doesn't remove the pain, but it gives the pain meaning. Clarity of purpose gives direction. It keeps you from chasing every shiny thing or comparing your path to someone else's. When you're unclear, it's easy to drift, to say yes to things that don't align, to get overwhelmed by other people's expectations. But when you're rooted in your why, you become less reactive and more intentional. You make decisions based on alignment, not approval. You don't follow trends, you follow conviction. That kind of clarity doesn't come by accident. It requires reflection, honesty, and sometimes a willingness to sit in discomfort. You have to ask hard questions about what really matters to you. You have to let go of roles or goals that don't feel true anymore. Sometimes you'll realize the dream you were chasing was never really yours. That's not failure, that's growth. And every time you get clearer, your resilience grows stronger because you're no longer wasting energy trying to be someone you're not. When your purpose is clear, setbacks don't feel like the end. They feel like part of the journey. The story of every resilient person is filled with moments that could have broken them, but didn't. Why? Because they knew what they were fighting for. A parent stays up late working a second job because they know their family is counting on them. An activist keeps showing up even when no one is listening because the cause is worth it. A creator keeps making art even when no one buys it, because the act of creating speaks to something essential in them. They are not just doing something, they are living their purpose. Focus. Clarity also simplifies things. When you know what really matters, you stop giving energy to what doesn't. You stop overthinking every move. You stop trying to be everything to everyone. You become more focused, more decisive, and more present. That mental and emotional clarity frees up energy that used to be spent on doubt and second guessing. And instead, you channel it into building, creating, serving, and moving forward. People often think resilience is about being tough, about powering through no matter what. But real resilience isn't just about endurance. It's about alignment. It's about coming back to your core values and your deeper why every time life tries to pull you off course. You might slow down. You might need to rest. But you don't quit. Because the clarity of your purpose keeps calling you back, and it doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. You don't need a mission statement carved in stone to live with purpose. Sometimes clarity is quiet. It shows up in the way you treat people, in the standards you hold yourself to, in the causes you choose to stand for. It shows up in the consistency of your actions, even when no one else sees the effort. You know why you're doing it, and that's enough. There will always be noise, distractions, doubts, and people who won't understand your path. But when you're clear on your purpose, you stop looking for validation in places that can't give it to you. You carry your own sense of direction, your own inner conviction. And that clarity becomes your foundation, not just for achievement, but for endurance, growth, and a kind of peace that doesn't depend on outside circumstances. Living with purpose means serving something bigger than yourself. At the heart of every meaningful life is a deep sense of contribution, of being part of something that matters beyond personal gain. Purpose is not about self-centered ambition. It's about connection. It's about realizing that your actions, your voice, your presence can have an impact that reaches further than just your own world. In a culture that often glorifies individual success, it's easy to believe that purpose is found in what we can accumulate: titles, wealth, recognition. But true fulfillment rarely comes from what we get. It comes from what we give. Purpose is not measured by how high we climb, but by how many people we lift along the way. It's about using our strengths, experiences, and stories to make life better for others. There's something powerful that happens when we stop asking, "What can I take from this world?" and start asking, "What can I give to it?" That shift changes how we show up every day. It changes how we work, how we lead, how we listen. You don't have to be famous, rich, or hold a position of power to serve something bigger. Purpose is found in small, consistent acts of kindness, in showing up when it's inconvenient, in choosing integrity when no one is watching. When we anchor our lives to something larger than ourselves, whether it's a mission, a cause, a community, or a belief, we become more resilient, more courageous, and more grounded. That's because we're no longer operating just for our own comfort or success. We're motivated by meaning, the words. We endure difficulty not just for ourselves, but for the people and principles we care about. That external focus expands our capacity to love, to sacrifice, to keep going when things are hard. Serving something bigger than yourself doesn't mean neglecting your needs. It means seeing your life as part of a larger whole. It means asking, how does what I do affect the people around me? What legacy am I building through my choices? Whose life can I make better by simply showing up fully and authentically? These questions help align our actions with a sense of greater purpose. Purpose pulls us out of isolation. It reminds us that we are not alone, that we are connected by shared hopes, struggles, and humanity. When you live with the intention to serve others, you start to find purpose in places you never noticed before. A teacher inspiring a struggling student, a nurse offering comfort to someone in pain, a friend being present in someone's darkest hour. These aren't just moments of kindness, they're expressions of purpose. Some people discover their purpose in movements or missions. Others find it in quiet service, in parenting, mentoring, building, creating. There's no one right way to live with purpose, but the common thread is this. Purpose always points outward. It asks us to give, to care, to contribute. It shifts the spotlight away from ourselves and toward the difference we can make. And in doing that, something incredible happens. We begin to grow, because when we live beyond ourselves, we stretch beyond our limits. We learn empathy. We build strength. We find courage in the face of fear because we know someone else is counting on us. Our lives take on a deeper meaning, and even the mundane starts to matter. Purpose turns routine into responsibility and responsibility into legacy. In every story of someone who lived a truly meaningful life, you'll find this principle at work. Whether it's a leader who fought for justice, a parent who sacrificed for their children, or an artist who gave voice to truth, these people lived not just for themselves, but for something greater. And that's what makes their stories resonate long after they're gone. Living with purpose doesn't require perfection. It requires intention. It's not about being extraordinary. It's about being available to others, to your values, to the needs around you. It's about showing up not just with skill, but with heart. And when you choose to serve something bigger than yourself, you don't just change the world, you change yourself in the process.